This is the 26th, not the 23rd, okay. Good evening and welcome to the rescheduled from Monday the 23rd to Thursday the 26th of January 2023 Selectmen meeting. We've just come out of paperwork session and we're going to all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Unfortunately, Mr. Weber was not able to attend tonight, so you're stuck with me. Okay. First up, we have a review and approval of consent items. We have an AP manifest for January 17th, 2023 in the amount of $24,207.67. And one for the 24th of January 2023 of $51,817.12. We have a PR manifest of January 19th, 2023 of $55,365.90. And we have one for January 26th of 2023 in the amount of $55,528.28. We have the December tax collector reconciliation, the December town clerk reconciliation, the December treasurer reconciliation, somebody's been busy, the 2023 default budget, which right now stands at $7,716,898. We have a purchase order for Bulldog fire apparatus in the amount of $23,474.03, encumbered from the 2022 funds. And we have a purchase order for Bergeron protective clothing in the amount of $15,350.87, encumbered from the 2022 funds. And we have some veteran credit requests. Are there any items anybody would like removed or discussed? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
We have a motion from Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mrs. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 4-0-0. I don't know if he should abstain or not. Any requests for additional items or other business? Okay, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. So, now we'll go into regular business. And I believe we have a special guest here tonight, Mr. Perry.
Hello, everybody.
Trying to find where you are here so I can read this proper. All right, go ahead.
This is your annual moderator check-in before deliberative. How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
Fantastic.
Welcome.
How do we look? We ready to go?
Fascinating.
Looks like the warrants have been approved. And if we could just get names of who's going to present or speak to these items, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'm here for any questions you may have.
So,
Good.
I think that we have, obviously the planning board, would be chair proto on that one. Then there's the operating budget. I don't believe that you have discussed and assigned the others to which members will be presenting.
No,
I have not.
So perhaps we can discuss that, and then I can, let Mr. Perry know.
Okay.
But they are all, approved by the DRA and they have been submitted. They're signed this evening, so we'll get those posted here and at the school, by Monday morning.
Perfect.
The budget has also been signed, and received by the town, and we have the schools as well. and so has the town's default. I'm not sure about the schools yet. But so that all looks like it's all in order. We know that CTV is all set for the auditorium. Remember, this is a difference this year with town on the 4th at 10 and schools on the 11th at 10.
It's a shame that we're not on the same day.
Definitely makes it easier for people to show up.
Just my comment.
So, town clerk, the town clerk posted this morning a list of people so you can see in real time who has signed up for what open positions.
Okay.
So that's there, and we have had people coming in. We think, other than figuring out who's speaking to which item, everything else is in order.
Okay.
So I think that there may be some discussion on the veterans
Yep.
and those articles. And just so the board knows, when we were finalizing the articles with the DRA, they made us split them into two. So originally we had been told by legal counsel that we could put them under one article. The DRA came back and said, no, we want them split into two. You're optional and you're all veterans. The interesting part of this is both have to pass. So it makes more sense to put them in one, right? If both have to pass, but no, that's not how they want it done. So now it's Article 14 and Article 15. There is no tax impact listed. I know that's been a question by a member of the public. The DRA and legal counsel both agree on that. There is no way to estimate a tax impact, if any, right? Because in order for there to be a 2023 tax impact, you would have to have a member of the active come in before April 15th. So between March 14th and April 15th, and apply. And there's a number of other criteria they must meet. It's not just they come in and they sign up and they show. They have to actually be in good standing. So the DRA is working through some of that requirements and some of the information that they're going to get to us. So the likelihood of someone coming in and signing up that would impact the tax for 2023 is very slim. When we did some rough calculations, it would have to be more than 9 people to even push it a cent. So it's just not very likely. And all of the towns have been instructed, towns and city, to do it the same way. I think the other item that had been mentioned was another tax impact. Now it's slipping me which one it was. There's no tax impact on the fire engine. That may come up. And the DRA made us change that language to say, shall the town raise and appropriate the $656,899. But then if you read the rest of the article, it says that the revenue offsets from ARPA. So it has no tax impact, but people may see the first few words of the article and say, wait a minute, where's the tax impact? So there are a few that we may have to actually do a little bit more discussion about, because they might be outside of the norm. But they have been checked by legal and they have been checked by the DRA. So we feel we're in good shape.
And you're gonna have counsel there as well, right?
Right, Attorney Driscoll will be attending.
Kim, you mentioned a magic number of 9 veterans. Is this additional people? So we'd have to have 9 that additional people come in to have any sort of significant impact?
Right, and they'd have to meet all the criteria. And so, there's question as to what active people will need to prove their status. And one of the things that the DRA has given in some of the initial language that's been put out there is they'd have to bring in their payroll. So a payroll statement, but then that doesn't answer the question of how they prove if they're in good standing. So there's a lot of language still being worked out on this, so just the possibility of getting many that we can actually verify and get them signed up and passed by April 15th is not very good. But, more information is coming out all the time. I know they're working very hard on this, but that's what we have for the latest from the DRA.
Okay,
So, but
What do you need from us?
I don't need anything. Other than who's gonna speak to these, the independent articles?
Okay. I'll get that to you probably by the next, no, actually, next meeting's after deliberative. We
right.
don't have Mr. Weber here tonight,
So
we're gonna sign them
perhaps
all to him.
perhaps tomorrow we can discuss it, and then I can get it to you tomorrow evening or Monday morning.
That's fine, as long as I have it before we start the meeting, that's all.
Absolutely.
Just so I don't have to scramble the morning of,
Yeah, we could assign them all to Steve.
That's usually what you do to the person that's not here.
Not here,
That's right. He volunteered.
volunteered.
He didn't object, right?
Hasn't objected, no?
We asked him, and he,
Haven't heard back.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
we good?
Good.
Sounds
Get
good.
that to you right
See
away.
you.
thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll see you guys in a week and a couple days.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Buddy.
Have a good one.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Okay. Since we have another special guest, we might as well bring that up. That's from the Rec Commission. Judy Brennan to discuss the pickleball bid process. Am I reading that right?
Yes, I'm here in place of Chris Burns. He was going to be here, but he started not feeling well a couple hours ago, so I tried to get everything together as best I could quickly.
He had stage fright.
So, we're looking for approval from the Board of Selectmen to direct solicit for painting lines, and the fencing of the pickleball courts. Back in April, when we started gathering information and starting the whole process, we reached out to, multiple vendors. We only had 2 replies that were interested. They've both been very accommodating with the modifications we've had to make where we hit wetlands and had to readjust the size, and then changing the direction of the actual courts. So they've probably changed the budgeting 4 times anyway through the whole process. They've been very easy to work with. Both of them can do both the fencing and the painting of lines. And we'd also like to look at one other company for fencing that's already on the town vendor list that's done some fencing work in town also. If we have to put it out to bid, we'll be reaching out probably for the, same group of people who didn't reply to begin with and the 2 that did. It'll also really slow things down. You're probably aware the pad work and clearing of the land is being donated by a very generous company in town. They will not be able to put down the pad till we have the whole locations for the netting, So it would also really slow everything down and then getting on a schedule with one of the companies. So it's our hope that at our February meeting, we would be able to review the submissions and select a vendor and be able to move forward. And getting your approval to direct solicit, that would help keep things moving like they are.
So you're gonna end up with 3 estimates.
Yeah.
You got 3.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of getting multiple estimates.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with you doing the dirty work.
From
I
the,
mean, we're getting close.
the town administrator, is that per town policy or what?
I think we have to waive it.
Yeah, you would have to waive it. It does not meet the purchasing policy.
There's a minimum of 3 quotes, if I recall.
Well, so, it depends upon the amount, of money that you're looking at. And so I guess.
Money's coming off from impact fees, other than what's being donated
Right,
for that work. And
we've
the
already
impact fees
released
should, when we were looking at the budgeting, it should more than cover, because we've had to cut back to 6 courts because of the wetlands, and not going into the buffer. But as far as we'll have 3 estimates, but one of them's just a fencing company. The other 2 who have continued communication with us, there were only 2 of them. They're both out of Massachusetts. New Hampshire doesn't have a lot of straight-out pickleball courts. We have a lot of tennis courts that with overlaid painting, so pickleball can be played in the tennis court. It's a little confusing with all the lines. So as far as having the straight pickleball courts, in southern New Hampshire, we're going to be one of the first and very few. So there's not a whole lot in New Hampshire of the companies that are doing that right now. So we have 1 fencing vendor we're looking at, and then 2 others for the whole project.
So we could say that Litchfield will become the pickleball capital of New Hampshire.
I think that the Pickleball Association is the largest one. The Litchfield Pickleball Association is the largest one in New Hampshire. As of
Wow.
right now. So,
We could have a big billboard on 3A.
yeah, right. So just to let you know too, that I spoke with the Pickleball Association last week, Chris and I did, and they're gonna offer some times to the different boards in town. If you wanna learn how to play, come and learn how to play. So once we get those dates and times set up, I'll send an email to all the different boards in town, and if you wanna come, they said they'll teach us, so.
We could have tournaments. I wonder if I could play with this.
Well, it is gonna be ADA accessible, so, and it'll have the parking and
Nice.
meet those requirements with extra space and wide openings, so there'll be a viewing area too, which will be nice.
No lights.
No lights, no. I don't think there's we have electricity down there at Sawmill, and night lights are so expensive.
There's
Yeah,
nothing down there.
no.
I mean, we've already released all of this money to them, so I don't have a problem with it. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I'll make a motion that we waive the bid requirement. How's that?
The purchasing policy?
I'll second that.
Very good. Thank you, Kim.
My voice sounds like a frog.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. LaSalle and a second by Ms. Queenan. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Mr. LaSalle?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Very good.
Hopefully we'll see you on the pickleball court.
Good job. Do I have to bring a paddle, or will they supply it if I come
They
tomorrow?
have some extras, they said,
Okay.
if you don't have, I'll have one.
Be out there.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Workers' comp if
Good
I
luck.
get hurt while I'm training.
Thanks.
Bye, Judy.
That's the best part of this whole thing. You still haven't caught the age requirement yet.
Being as the time is 6:50, we will open it up for public input. Being as there's no members of the public present, we will close public input. Next up, we have discussion and update from the Heritage Public Hearing of 1/25/2023.
So, the Heritage Commission had originally thought that they, may need to speak this evening. They will not, but they will be submitting, a communication to the board at a later date. So the item's not needed this evening. I would say we should go back to number 2. I think we got, and we have the public hearings for the acceptance.
All right. So next up, we have public hearings. Special one-time bridge payment. Pursuant to RSA 31:9-B, acceptance and expenditure of a one-time bridge payment from the state of New Hampshire authorized under passage of Senate Bill 401, effective July 2022, in the amount of $131,318.17. What is that? We got a check?
So.
It boils down to, you get a check.
Right, so both of these have, we've discussed them at prior meetings. And this one for the $131,000, it's for future use, by the road agent on acceptable roads, equipment, or bridges as defined by Senate Bill 401. Both of these were publicly noticed that you would be accepting the funds now, but we are not noting at this time what they would be expended for.
We only have one bridge that we're responsible for, right? Isn't
But
that Albuquerque?
they explained it also covers culverts.
We also got the
Correct.
bridge on.
I think we had 4.
Pardon me?
I think we had 4
Pilgrim,
For,
that they considered under this.
yeah.
Oh, okay. 4 bridges?
It's 4 bridges.
For
at least,
culvert.
yeah. Culvert bridges, wait,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Oh, and Albuquerque, sorry, I missed that one. The one that floods all the time.
Yeah.
do we have a motion to accept this money?
I'll make a motion to accept the money.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Mr. Lynch and a second from Mr. LaSalle's. Any further discussion? If not, we will, Mr. LaSalle's?
No.
You voting no?
No,
All those in favor? Mr. LaSalle's.
aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 4-0-0. Thank you, Matt.
I didn't hear anything.
Next up, we have another check.
It's nice to get checks once in a while.
So this one is,
We also discussed this at a prior meeting. This is the $28,640.36 that we received from the pension from, and I think it's wrong here, but it's House Bill 1221, and this is in the amount of $28,640.36. This is the reimbursement by the state of New Hampshire retirement contributions, and it's a one-time, although I believe there's other legislation that's up there pending on other things. This is a one-time contribution by the state, and again, we're asking the board to accept it. We are not saying what it would be expended on. We'd leave that and bring that to you at a future time.
right here, it says to be used by the road agent.
Oh, yeah, this, I'm sorry, I think
Okay.
this is
Got a
incorrect.
boo-boo?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's a boo-boo.
So, whereas it's from the retirement system, should we keep that in an account and use it for the times when we get that big bill from the state for the retirement funds? You know, every year we have to kick out so much money?
You could, but you could actually use it for any expenditure, and where it's a one-time, you might want to use it on a one-time expense, instead of the pension, which is the normal, your normal yearly. We don't expect that we'll see it again unless there's good news from the legislature.
Legislature's been giving us a lot of good news.
Very strange.
All right, so we'll entertain a motion to accept the funds?
Didn't we just do that?
No, that was the other,
The other
that was
check.
the other check. This is the second check.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion from Ms. Queenan,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Lynch. This is for the 28,000, Rich, the other one was for 131. So, all those in favor, Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 400. Right. Let's see, we did the Heritage Commission.
Just a note on that, number 4,
Mhm.
discussion and update from the Heritage. We had a public hearing last night. The discussion with respect to the Heritage Commission was the property at,
Wilson Farms.
the Wilson Farm
Mhm.
property, the house there, which is of significant heritage, it's a lot of significance, but it has burned. We did have a letter from Wilson's that they have no interest
Mhm.
in saving the property,
Mhm.
and, but there will be an update. I mean, everybody, we had several members of the public that were here last night for it. All members of the Heritage Commission voiced support and would like to save the building. All members of the public felt the same way, but it doesn't look as though the stars are going to align on that. But there will be a further report from the Heritage Commission.
Okay. And I think they did a site walk today, right? Is that what you said? Yep.
Yep, so I've got the sneakers on, went for a walk.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't go well, right? You want to fill us in?
I believe that that is the information that they are going to put in a communication to you, is the condition of the building may not have been what
They
they,
thought it may
they
be.
thought it might be.
It's been, I've been in it, over the years, I've been in it, and I can find that it's very worn out. I'll say that, on the inside, prior to the fire. Okay, so, it's something to look at.
Okay. All right, so next up, we have an abatement. Yes, we have an abatement.
How about Peter Stone,
Peter Stone.
number 5?
Yeah.
Approval of Peter Stone?
All right, we'll do that then.
I thought you were taking them in order.
I thought I was.
No pressure, Robert.
I thought I was too. So, we have the approval of Peter Stone to the Lower Merrimack Advisory Committee.
Well, I got him here for the Recreation Committee.
For the
That's already
Recreation
done.
Committee?
That's done.
Okay, guys, I'm on the wrong day here.
Sorry.
So-
Yeah,
We
postponed
jumped
this.
around and took care of the people that were
Yeah.
here, so
Okay.
So,
you're no more confused than I am. So go ahead, Kim.
back in, I think September, October timeframe, maybe it was October, November?
It was later, October-ish, yeah.
The state had reached out to us regarding putting 4 members from Litchfield on the local river management advisory committee. And we had 3 members. Mr. Croto was currently on. We had two members that stepped forward, so Mr. Stone would be our fourth member. If Mr. Stone currently sits on the CIP committee, and he has been to a couple meetings and has shown his interest in helping. So he is traveling this evening. If you felt the need to interview him, he'd be happy to come back on the 13th. But where most of you knew him, I thought
Yep.
we may be all set.
Yeah, no, I think he'd be a good addition.
Broke somebody's pen.
Was that?
I thought I broke your pen, but I
Oh.
didn't. Sorry.
Kim probably knows him better than any of us.
Yeah,
but,
I would like to make a motion to nominate Peter Stone to the local river management advisory committee.
Okay.
Second the motion?
We have a motion by Ms. Queenan and a second by Mr. LaSalle's. Further discussion? All those in favor, Ms. Queenan,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 400. Next, we have an abatement. This is, number 2023-01, map 14, lot 153, in the amount of $57.53.
Correct. So that would be the abatement amount. There's actually, so the taxpayers filed an abatement for this. There were two fireplaces on the property. Incorrectly, there's one. So the assessors did look at it, and they have brought it forward with a recommendation for an abatement.
That's less than I thought it would
It's
be.
actually a $3,000 difference in value.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm surprised it's not more.
yeah,
A fireplace costs more than that today.
yeah. I was surprised they tax you on fireplaces.
I know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a wooden fireplace.
Tax you on everything.
everything.
Well,
Tax
today
you
with
for everything, that's right.
price of oil, they're trying to.
They tax you for a fireplace.
Yes.
Well, because you can't
Yes.
take it with you. It's an asset if you're gonna sell your house, somebody. I mean, it's all, if you have a built-in pool, some may pay more for that. If you have a fireplace, they may want that. If you have a gas fireplace. Yeah, it's everything you have, stairs to your house.
My sister who lives on Talent Road, on her tax bill, they're taxing her for a shed. What they're calling a shed is actually a decorative outhouse,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So sheds are big items.
but it's
that-
an outhouse.
Oh, really?
Is it
It's
functional?
an actual outhouse.
I'd file an abatement.
Is it functional?
Go try.
Go try.
They probably never opened the door.
Catherine.
Catherine,
Sitting right in the front yard.
she's used it a lot.
I mean, you get assessed on pools, and
Yep.
pools can actually work either way,
Yeah.
right? So there are some people that are buy houses that will not buy a house because it has a pool. But you get assessed for it.
I saw one leave my front door, took the tape measure out just to see how big the stairs were. And if it hit another criteria, I'm sure it would have been another tax bill. It wasn't big enough to put a chair there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But they measure everything.
yeah. If it would be an entrance or an open porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're picky.
Boy, too picky. Anyways, so.
I make a motion to
let's-
approve it.
Yeah, let's help out a homeowner here.
Second the motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Lynch and a second from Mr. LaSalle's. All those in favor, Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 400. All right, next up, we have
NRPC.
contract with NRPC. Approval of the contract for NRPC for general planning services not to exceed $18,000.
Yes, so this is an item that has commonly gone to the planning board. And unfortunately, a contract between the town
Mhm.
and any entity needs approval by the Board of Selectmen. So this does have the recommendation of the planning board. This is their normal standard general planning services that NRPC provides. So, we are just asking for your approval, of this item this evening.
Okay, and I see Mr. Curto already signed off on it.
Make a motion and we accept it.
Okay, we
The
have,
reason for it, it's common procedure. And we've done it for years the same way.
Yep.
Yes.
yeah, we see this every year, or just about every year.
Well, when we finally get it.
So we have a motion for Mr. Lynch.
I'll second.
We have a second for Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 400.
Be good night.
Next up, we have mosquito contract, right?
Oh, Jesus.
2023 contract with Municipal Pest Management for $27,765. Ms. Queenan, I mean, Ms. Kleiner. I get you.
I know, I'm signing Kim Q and you're Kim K.
So this is a contract that you see every year as well. It's the same amount. It has not increased, but they did reach out, and they want to schedule services. So the amount has been budgeted into the 2023 budget. So it will need approval tonight so that we can work with the company to get services scheduled.
When you say they reached out to scheduling services, that's basically if we do get a mosquito problem, then now we have to bring them in and take care of the parks and stuff like that.
Correct.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah, just like all the other years.
Yep.
Just being in tune with nature, it seemed like this past year, we didn't have as many mosquitoes
It was very dry. Did a lot of
because
dry.
of being dry.
Yep.
And also, there's not a lot of acorns. There wasn't a lot of acorns, at least.
We have too many squirrels.
Well, we probably will not see as many squirrels this next year because there weren't as many
I
acorns.
hit 3 today. Until Chris Road.
But I'll make a motion, we accept this contract.
Okay, we
I'll
have,
second it.
we have a motion from Mr. LaSalle's and a second from Mr. Lynch. Anything further? All right, all those in favor, Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 400. All right, next up, the backhoe. Purchase of Milton Cat for $151,900 to be used from ARPA funding and the solid waste revolving fund. All right. This-
So we've actually discussed this quite a bit, and we did look back and what was left of ARPA after setting aside the money for the fire engine should it pass warrant. We're just short for the purchase of the backhoe that went through the CIP committee. So we would recommend taking the 4,899, and there's actually probably a little bit of change from the solid waste revolving fund. In addition, what we've discussed and what we ask you to consider is the old backhoe. We would like to get an estimate on having that reconditioned, and coming forth to you with that quote, and a source of funding, for that, so that we would not only have the new, but we would have the existing as well. So we'll find out how much that would cost to get it reconditioned, but it may be useful to have that at the recycling
I concur.
transfer
We got
station.
two divisions, they use it all the time up there.
The problem I would have with that would be that for a few years now, we've been hearing that a new backhoe's needed. The old one is on its last legs. And then it seems, it just, if I'm a taxpayer sitting at home watching this, the minute we free up the money to buy a new one, now they're gonna recondition the old one. You know, it's kinda like in the past where we bought trucks because they've said that the vehicles were no good, and then we get a new truck, and then they ship the vehicle to another department, and it gets used for another 5 or 6 years.
In this case here, I know the backhoe, Bob, that we're talking about is in need of a lot of help.
Yep.
Okay,
Understood.
and I have no problem if they wish to look at, looking into what the cost would be to restore it, to make it safer than what it is now. There's a lot of parts in it that don't move anymore. So
How old is this backhoe?
It's 10 years old, right?
At least 10.
At least.
Well, should we restore the old one and not buy a new one?
That's the point, that's the
I don't-
second point here.
Yeah.
But the only thing about that is that what are you gonna do in the meantime while it's being refurbished?
Correct.
It would be interesting to get a price for refurbishment, and then, you know, we could make a decision. Do we refurbish it and keep it, or refurbish it and dispose of it, you know?
Yeah.
What's the residual value without refurbishment? I mean, will Milton Cat take this as a trade-in, you know, or, but whenever, now that we've approved this new one, then I think we need to have the full spectrum of what we can do, and then make a decision based upon that.
In response to Rich on this, I think the old cat that's there now has been there, it's been an issue for years down there. Okay? There'd been a need to upgrade or replace the existing one. Okay? I think what needs to be done is replace the existing one. I have no problem coming in with a quote to see what the future may be for the existing one. We may not go with it, but at least we'll allow them to at least proceed to see what it would be to do something with it. I agree with you, Rich, that, yeah, you're right, okay, you know, maybe it's too worn out, okay? This is our way to find out for sure. But in the meantime, we need something that has to operate 5 days a week there, 7 days a week in most cases, okay? The biggest thing with those backhoes there is that they're used as compactors.
Correct.
Okay, to crush things down into the dumpster so that, so that takes a lot of impact out of them. If it's for a conventional, just picking up here, picking up there, it's another story, okay? So we need to look at that big picture. I think we need to look at replacing the one we have now, and we'll look into what we can do with the future one. Okay, if it can meet it, if not, okay, we go on to the next step. Do we need two backhoes is a question that may come up in the future. Or we can find a used one that's in better shape than what we have there now for the old one.
Okay.
And the Cat dealership will tell us more about that, Caterpillar, okay, because they're the ones that are gonna run through it, okay, to see what it really needs. There's no win situation in this, okay? The old one there has had it, okay, and we'll look at the old one and say, okay, can we fix this thing and be reasonable about it? But if we do, it's gonna be out for a month or two.
Right.
Okay, and we need something there in the meantime, every single day. So this is the best way of doing it, is replacing what we have and then look at the future for the old. That's how I look at it. If it doesn't pass, we'll do what we've been doing in the past. Okay, we beat them up till the end, okay? That's how we've done it here.
We can get a quote, and if it's not reasonable,
Correct.
We'll figure something out from there.
That's correct.
It just would be nice to have a backup. Yes, exactly. So that, and you wouldn't use the backup or the old backhoe for the same amount of load and the same type of things that you're going to use the new one for.
Yep.
That's true, but they can also use a loader to compact the stuff down in the dumpsters. So, I mean, again, I look at this from the citizen's point of view, and
So do
after
I,
being
Bob.
told for years and years that they need a new one, the old one's dead. You know, it's on its last legs, and now it's gonna be miraculously brought back to life.
We don't know that. We don't know that, Bob, okay? We don't know enough about that yet. I do think we need a brand new one.
I would say we get the new one, but I think we should dispose of the old one, because I don't wanna deal with the public coming up to us and saying that we pulled a fast one.
Well, let's do it this way. Let's get an estimate without spending money from them. Let's see what we do need. One, to fix that. Okay? If it's too much, okay, we're done.
Right.
That's how I look, I understand what you're saying, Bob. But I don't think we should just throw it out in the street until we know what it would take to bring it back to life. That's safe. And if it's too much, then we just go by, okay, we're good. Good, and then we'll come back and talk about something else. That's how I look at it. Right now, we do need something there that's better than what we have.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Do you know how long it's gonna take us to take delivery on this?
Yes, so the good news on this one is it is available now. And so it was something that we were very concerned about, because there were a number that were months out, kind of similar to a fire truck situation. And then this one came available. So we believe we could take ownership of it.
Is the old one also a Caterpillar?
Yes.
Are they both diesel or are they both gas?
Diesel.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept this. Purchase a new backhoe for this year. The next step would be, we're looking at what happens. There's no money involved to look at it, to see what needs to be done. It's to see if it can be fixed, then that's another budget number all by itself.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, the motion should read, make a motion to purchase the 2023 Milton Cat backhoe for $151,900.
Thank you, dear.
$147,050 from ARPA funds and $4,899 from the solid waste revolving fund.
I'll back that motion.
Well, it's your motion, I just cleaned it up for you. You took a long way around the barn. The horses got out.
Cows, you don't have horses.
So, then we have a motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion? Kim, I haven't heard a word out of you.
No, I'm fine with this.
You're good with it? Okay, so I guess the only question would be do with the other one. And I am concerned about what the taxpayers will say if we all of a sudden make it pretty when we could have done that before, but
Well,
I'm okay with this.
I think we need to buy the new one and look into what can be done, and that's a separate item all by
We
itself.
have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yeah.
We're ready for a vote.
Okay, all those in favor, Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries 400. So I think it's also important to let people know that the ARPA funding was also used, $109,000 for the police department, $106,000 that we used for that, and then the balance for the fire truck. So we did multiple things with the ARPA funding.
Right, so, yeah, some of the, was, even though it was for the police department, came through IT.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so it really was split around and shared
Yep,
around.
we
to your
spread it out,
point.
which was what we wanted.
Yep.
What we wanted, okay. So, okay. Now we just need to get the fire truck passed.
No fire truck, yeah.
Excuse me, Chair, before we forget, our minutes, the minutes from January 9th,
Mm-hmm.
I think we wanted to speak
Make
with
a
Mr.
motion.
Perry, and we may have
You screwed up
missed
the agenda.
approving the minutes.
Well, I don't see it listed on my agenda.
It's right here.
It's way at the top.
Oh, you have the paper form. that's
I'm
right.
reminded of the dyslexic agnostic insomniac. Stayed awake nights wondering if there really is a dog.
That was
That being said,
over my head.
has everyone had a chance to look at the
Way over.
January 9th minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes.
We have a motion from Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second from Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Ms. Queenan,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 400.
Okay, let's go way back to the bottom
Way
now.
back.
I expect
10.
that to be reflected in the
Number 10.
minutes.
So now we have a RFQ for stormwater management, request for qualifications, engineering services for asset management.
Explain this
Mrs. Kleiner.
So, about November-ish, we found out that Mr. Brown had applied for a grant for stormwater asset management. And so he was pre-qualified for the grant, but there's a number of steps that have to be taken before we would be awarded a possibility of $30,000 for coming up with an asset management plan, actually working with an engineer, and hiring an engineer to design it for us. So part of the process, before you are actually awarded the funds, is to request qualifications from engineering services. So we put out the RFQ. The RFQ is out. It's only upon developing a plan and having it actually awarded by the state, that anything would happen. There's a number of steps still met, but February 3rd is the deadline for the RFQ. We'll see how many people or agencies respond to it, and then we'll bring it back to you with our recommendations. We're looking at Mr. Blackwell and Mr. Brown, Kevin Brown and myself, looking at the qualifications to bring back a recommendation to you.
Good, good, good.
Okay. All right, so
I want to read this, Bob.
we don't need a motion for this, do we?
We do not at this time until we
It
bring
says
you.
information only. Stormwater grant, $30,000, engineer to be chosen February 2nd. Grant will be accepted upon New Hampshire DES acceptance of plan.
Correct.
Okay. Next up, we have the fiscal year 2023, no, 2023, year-end projections for the budget. Mrs. Kleiner.
And so, we've been including this, right along, the budget projections, and I know Karen, looked at it again today. So I'll ask her to give you any updates.
So we Heather entered the 2022 bills that we got today. We're keeping the books open one more week for any other 22 bills coming in. So I am estimating that we're gonna have about 165, 228 left for 2022 unspent.
Beautiful. Thanks for the good news.
So what will become of that money?
It will drop to fund balance.
Go into what?
Fund balance.
I know I say this every year, and it said, and the answer's always no, but how about we give it back to the taxpayers? Just one time as a good faith gesture. Troy used to do the same thing, Kim.
It's financially, it's a nightmare. You build into your budget a deficit that, for the following year, yeah. Sorry.
So you could see a tax rate go
Accountant.
down, and then it jumps the
That's
next
right.
year when you don't. do
You're
it
just
again.
pushing,
I concur with your thinking, Kim, on that, because it is a nightmare.
so we,
And then we need to
We've
keep
always
that
called it.
percent, and instead we've been using fund balance
No, I
to buy
understand.
things, so it,
My first thought's always to give
Yeah, I
it back to the
know.
taxpayers.
yeah.
You've heard it a million times
Yeah.
already.
No, you're new.
You're probably sick of me saying it, but I'm gonna
No,
keep
I
saying
agree.
it.
you know, I think
I
to,
should get a shirt that says it.
you know, you have a policy, for the town to keep a certain percentage over, you know, over 8% in the
Yep.
fund balance.
Correct.
So I think, you know, at the end of, once the books have been closed, we'll look at that and see where we are. For a little bit, it had been dropping, and hopefully this will
Bring it back
push
to
it,
where it
bring
needs
it
to be.
back up, right.
Okay. Very well. Next, we have the default budget.
We have one?
So the default budget is what you signed this evening, which will get posted, and then you have the 2023 budget, which was also signed by the Budget Committee. So the warrants, the default, and the budget are all set. And I think if it's acceptable with you, what we'd like to do is maybe figure out a way to kind of give you an update throughout the year, replace these spreadsheets here that you have and give you kind of an update of where we are. In the past, what I've seen in communities is, you know, we kind of give you an idea of what percentage of the budget we have expended, where we kind of are as far as departments, and just to check in throughout the year now that we're kind of winding down this budget process, even though we step right into the next one in a couple months, right? But we can work on that. I will say that if you haven't noticed, you know, a thank you to Karen and to Heather and to John Brunel. If you go on the website now and you go under departments and you go to the finance, you will see reports of everything that has been spent. The accounts payable, the payroll, the budget reports that the budget gets. It is all there for our residents to look at any time. And Heather's, you know, updating those, downloading them every week. So that was a big task by them. And it
We
really
did give her
speaks
some
to our
slack.
transparency.
Yep.
That's what needs some slack.
I think it's a great idea, because I know that the budget committee on a regular basis is always asking what's the spend for the year on certain
This is a good method.
departments and whatever, so
I agree about it.
this will be a helpful tool for them as well.
It'll
Great.
answer questions down the line.
Yep.
And the
Great.
first, after that, Karen, could you get some flowers for Heather, or some candy?
What about Karen? She's in on it.
I know, but she could use something different. We'll bring her to the liquor store.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't know.
Won't get me going. I gotta keep humor in this, or else I'm gonna go nuts.
We've already taken care of the warrants, so we are on to the town administrator report.
We have one?
So, staff has been working really hard to put together the annual report. So that, and to get ready for deliberative on February 4th. There is a warrant article for the street discontinuance, so that required us to put out a notice to abutters. That has been issued. I mentioned the town website. We have a few other things we're working on. We're working on the form of lost items. We're working on the form for asking for metal detecting. We're working on a page for welfare requests so that residents can reach out to us. The idea is to get as much information on the website as we possibly can, so that some of these items can be submitted to us electronically. And so, I really thank John Brunel for, he's put a lot of work into this. On February 13th, you have Standard Power coming to talk to you about the community power. We have an item on the website as we were going through things that we found. Back in May, Mr. Brown brought to you some changes to the purchasing policy. Unfortunately, the policy wasn't signed. You made a motion, you approved it. It just wasn't signed, so the one that's out on the website is old. So I have a copy with me that I would ask you to sign so we could replace it.
Damn that Troy.
It's busy. Town clerk, Terry Brand and I have been working on the acquisition of, the disposition, I should say, of the acquired 25 Cortlandt Street, or Ave, Cortlandt Street in Nashville, Cortlandt Ave in Litchfield. So we've reached out to an auctioneer, and we're looking at a schedule, so we'll bring that forward to you. There was quite a bit of legal work that needed to be done on this to work and notify all of the heirs or possible heirs to the property, so we've worked through that. And then the last item is unfortunate. So Tuesday, there was a slight accident with a police vehicle due to the weather. Luckily, everyone is fine, but there was a little bit of damage done to a vehicle and a mailbox. The mailbox has already been replaced, and
Looks
we
nice.
are getting we will get some quotes on the
The owner did
vehicle
a nice
and
job
put
putting
it.
it back up. That's all I gotta say.
Well, so there's $1,000 deductible on the vehicle, but we'll get some, that Karen will put that through insurance. But the important thing is that there were no injuries.
Yes.
First time I ever sat here and found a police guy actually hit a mailbox.
Any other
Mailbox,
reports from the power outages and so forth, as far as, I know at one point, at peak, there were 331 households in Litchfield that were out of power or something like that?
I actually had higher than that on,
Yeah.
we were up over 1,000
Oh, wow.
and
Monday, right?
Monday.
Yeah.
Canceled, yeah.
And I have to say, Eversource did a remarkable job working with Highway, because Highway was out there with chainsaws moving trees. And so as of this morning, we had none. But most of them were restored Tuesday.
Do you know how many households there are in town?
3,000 and,
Off the top of your head. Go ahead.
yeah,
Did you lose count?
33.
Yeah, I was out till noontime Tuesday.
100.
3,300?
I,
So 1,000 would be,
A third.
yeah. It was mostly in the northern
Yeah.
end of the town.
Yep.
There were quite a few trees, and there was one larger section. And now I'm trying to think. I'll get you the information, but there was one garden.
Brenton,
Garden?
Garden was out.
Um,
Brenton
Lodge
was
Street came
closed,
down,
Lodge
died,
came down
by
on
bunch
Brenton.
in that area
The
took
transformer
Lodge.
blew at the end of Century
The
and
feeder.
Garden.
Yeah, it was, so there was one area that impacted a lot of residents because it was a transformer.
The above-ground areas, it all depends where it starts and goes, and it feeds off those roads from the beginning, all the subdivisions beyond. You're gonna see more go on off those, and that's what happened. You get an old tree in the older area comes down, takes out all the other houses above it.
Yeah, my area through Tuesday had 151 out.
Yeah.
I was out till Tuesday at
It's all about the
noontime.
feeders, okay, how the lines go in and where they come from.
Was the town hall ever down?
I think we were on generator for a
Oh.
little bit on Monday.
Maybe an hour or
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
but, yeah.
I know in,
Yeah.
in our particular case, we didn't lose power at all. It flickered, but we didn't lose power.
In the town hall one, what happened there was that the Hillcrest Road near Duck Spawn, I'll call it, when you go up the hill there, the tree came across and hit something down there.
Yeah.
And you see the tree is still hanging out there above it, but it's still farther back.
So every
And that's the feeder for this zone here.
year, Eversource does their vegetation plan. And so they reached out to us and they're ready to have that conversation. And one of the things that Kevin Brown and I spoke about was, as we're looking at these power outages, we should come up with some trees in some areas that we want to bring to their attention in their recommendation. Because, you know, sometimes it's hard for them to, but our fellows know, they know. They live it every day. So we will be bringing forward more information to you on what that vegetation plan looks like.
Might be good if the residents know of any also that they can bring to our attention, because if they're in a neighborhood and they know that something's a danger, they can tell us, we might not see it. And that, then we
Absolutely.
can bring it to their attention, yeah. It's a good idea, though.
I agree.
Especially if they're sick. I mean, we may not know, right? They would
Correct.
know, they're there, they see them, they.
There are restrictions on that regarding who owns the tree. Okay, and the residents are gonna have to learn to take care of their old trees.
Yeah.
There's two sides to that, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe a bad tree, maybe PSNH will pay for it to come down, maybe they have to take care of that as well.
Right.
Okay, I'm just being the devil here,
Right, no,
because you got the,
That's true.
you got,
They'll trim limbs that are hanging through the wires and whatnot.
right,
so
yeah, they'll do
with no
that
problem.
stuff, except for the one on it. If it's below the wires on Route 3A, that line, that tree is always gonna grow below the wires. You know what I'm talking about, Bobby.
Yep.
But, the other thing too is, in the tree process, it all depends on the storm, the types of storm. We had wet snow the last 2 or 3 times. And it's not, you see the limbs all over the place. And you see some really strange things that happened and where they came down and stuff. And we had trees that are 25 feet off the road, came down and took out the lines.
Yep.
Okay? So you're never gonna guess that. It's a good thing to ask, but there's so many reasons why not, you know? And then the other rule that got out there, if you own the piece of land and you got 50 feet of that from a road or something like that, the state does not want you to take out more than 50% of the trees there.
Right.
There's a law against that too. If you strip your land, oh, I'm happy, okay? They don't care, but that's what the law says, you know?
Right.
Next.
Next up, we have selectmen reports. Mr. Weber's not here, so we won't hear anything on rec or the school facilities. And budget committee, we don't meet until the deliberative, so next up, we have planning board, Ms. Queenan.
Planning board's quiet.
That's a good way to be. Well, capital improvement.
That'll be quiet until after voting. When we
Perfect.
pick up again.
All right, conservation?
Conservation met last week, and we talked about land uses and acquisitions possibility and this like that.
Mhm.
A lot going on that.
Heritage Commission, Mr. Lascelles.
As discussed earlier, the Heritage Commission has been working on the property at Wilson Farms. We met last night. We discussed some various alternatives, everybody would love to be able to save that property, but based upon the current situation, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Thank you.
The Heritage Commission is going to deliver a letter to the selectmen to that effect.
And I met with you today. The elderly bunch, as they say.
That's about it for tonight. Two items I wanted to bring up. First was a huge thank you to our road crews.
Thank you.
During these last few storms. And the police and fire for the response that they've put out there to the people in the town. Can't overestimate the job that they do for us in this town, and we want to thank them for that, very much so. And the second one was, now that the holidays are over, before everyone gets their January credit card bills, don't forget about your food pantry. My wife was there last week and she said the shelves are starting to look a little thin. So hopefully we get some donations going over there and keep that going. Take care of our citizens in need.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple other things.
Absolutely.
Last time we met, the meeting was interrupted by the tragic news that we had a death of
Yep.
one of the
Firefighter.
members of the Litchfield community.
Yep.
And it was particularly something that I was impacted by because I have known this gentleman for more than 20 years. And he had a connection not only with Hudson,
Milford.
but also with Milford and also with Litchfield.
Yep.
He was a call firefighter here in Litchfield. His two children had attended Litchfield schools until just this past year. They're now going to Alvern. But last night I went to the service that they had for Todd Berube at the Hudson Recreation Center. And you may find, I mean, this guy died very tragically. He has a young family, but you may be able to still buy, there's some stickers that the Hudson Fire Department were selling for $10 a piece, and the Litchfield Fire Department also had a limited supply. But for the benefit of the family, you know, it's a senior in high school and a junior in high school, so you know that they have a lot of expenses there. It's a lot of connections to the town. Also, on the website for the obituary, there is a GoFundMe that's on there, and the members of the public can go there and whatever they want to do, they're able to do that. Also, as a member of the PFOA commission, we had a meeting last Friday, and part of that was a report on the study, the cancer study that was done, and it's quite lengthy. And but if somebody wants to get a hold of me or somebody here at the town hall, I can give them an electronic copy of that report, that cancer report. And I really, based upon my untrained scientific eye, it didn't look like there was anything alarming for Litchfield, but that's something that people can read and make up their own mind about it. There was the worry was that that Merrimack, the town of Merrimack, had a cancer cluster with respect to kidney cancer. And again, you can look at that report and you can make up your own mind with respect to that. This has been a very busy season for me in Concord. I was in Concord all day today, and there's a lot of, I'm on the municipal and county government committee, and so there's a lot of bills that are coming up that Kim and I have talked about that have an impact on what we do here in municipal government. One is, for instance, there was a bill that came up before us that, with respect to the assistant town clerk. And the intent of the bill was to broaden the number of people that could be qualified to be assistant town clerk, especially in the North Country, because there's not a very big pool. And so they were saying, well, they were going to eliminate the residency requirements for assistant town clerk. The Assistant Secretary of State testified that they were dead set against that because the assistant town clerk at the elections has to be able to be qualified to take over in the event of the illness or incapacitation of the town clerk. So the gist of that is the assistant town clerk has to be just as qualified as the town clerk. So there are a number of other bills having to do with the municipal association with respect to default budgets, things buzzwords that we talk about all the time in our little confabs here. There are bills that are coming up all the time, and also the budget committee, there's a lot of bills that have to do with that. One that I have talked with Mr. Leary has to do with the ability for de facto members of the budget committee to vote from the school board and from the selectmen. So that's something that he and I have talked about, and that's going to be a bill that's going to come up. But a lot of interesting things, and I guess that's why I get the big bucks. So
Get to wear a tie.
a lot of big, yeah, I've got a tie here. But so if anybody, all of the meetings are available. If somebody wants to look at the meetings, and one that should be of interest to you, Kim, was there is a bill now to offer, just as we have elderly and veterans credits for taxes, there's a bill to offer child credits for abatement of taxes. So that just came up today.
Nice.
So there's a lot of really interesting things. There's a lot of discussion concerning lack of housing and, how can we stimulate that? Apparently we are one of the worst states with respect to
Affordable.
keeping young people in state.
You got it.
There is a county, let's see if I can remember it now. There's a county that has, the average age is over 65, I think, in the county, which is like, and I'm probably going to get this wrong because I didn't write it down, but it's only the second county in the country that has that sort of statistic. But we really need to attract and keep young people for a variety of reasons. And, so these are all things that are very interesting, and people can view them on, if they go to the New Hampshire General Court, they can view these archived meetings. But I guess that's about it.
Does anybody have anything else? No? That being said, we will entertain a motion of adjournment. You guys all want to stay here all night? We have a motion from Ms. Queenan, second from Mr. Lynch. All those in favor, Ms. Queenan,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr.
I
Lynch.
feel bad for Kim and Don.
I'll take that as an aye. I'm also an aye. Motion carries 4-0-0. So 7:53, we are concluding, and everyone at home, have a great night. Don't forget your food
August, please.
pantry.